Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show, Red Pill Edition. My name is Leon Jones, and in this segment, I'm going to talk about the Vice President and the current President and their policies. So, the title of this video is going to be The Policies of the Former Vice President and the President. Now, as we look into the election is not over. I know states are certifying votes, but remember, the swing states like Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin all have Republican legislatures. Now, the Republican legislatures weren't going to get involved, but now they're realizing that their political future is online. Now, there was a brother on YouTube who said, I believe it was in Nevada, that the process went to the Supreme Court. Well, what he failed to mention is it was the state Supreme Court. You see, whatever you don't get at the lower courts, you take it up to the higher courts. Now, with this election, and shout out to Minister Japp for bringing this out in his video, when you talk about Trump versus Biden. Now, my question is, do any of you believe that 80 million people voted for Joe Biden? You have to look at this situation. How can you have a candidate who sat in his basement? He didn't take any answers from the media. He never did any press conferences. He went out, he told Charlemagne the God that if you don't know who you're going to vote for, whether it's me or Trump, you're not black. Then he never condemned, I call the newfound KKK, Antifa. They're no longer wearing white, they're wearing black robes. They're wearing black. Correction. Well, some of them are wearing black robes, known as your liberal Obama judges. Also, he never condemned BLM. Now, of course, BLM, before they took everything down, BLM never stood for black men. And if you're a black man, and particularly some of you older black men, and you're voting Democrat, you definitely need your head examined. I'm 55 years old, and I did not vote with these older coons because these older coons are on the plantation. And you can shoot this video down if you don't like it, because I am very, very disappointed with a lot of you old head brothers. Many of you should know what's going on. You have a computer in front of you. You have an iPhone. You need to start looking something up instead of listening to the media. Now, I can understand the sisters because, again, they follow right along with white feminism and they believe in a Democratic Party. You look at people like Stacey Abrams. These are the individuals who are communists. These, believe it or not, they're your enemies, brothers. But many of you don't understand, you don't care. And to you blacks, many of you are going to maintain your peace and harmony in the ghetto because many of you did not vote for policy. I guarantee that a lot of you who think you voted for Biden, you don't even know anything about Biden. And when it comes to Trump, there were a number of individuals who liked Trump. There were a number of individuals who were black who liked Trump. Some of the rappers liked Trump. Now, to me, you don't have to like his style. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I supported Trump. I did. So you can call me any name you wanted or you want, but I'm looking at policy. And for black men, a vote for Biden is not good for you. Everybody is coming down on masculinity. And a vote for the Democratic Party means a vote that's going to hit masculinity. Now, you have to ask yourself, what are Biden's policies? Nobody knows. Biden's taking cues from the left. Now, it's not all Biden's fault because you have elitists like the media, big tech like Facebook, Twitter. You have your colleges, universities. You have your Amazons. You have people like George Soros. These are the individuals who are affecting the outcome of elections here in the United States. In fact, George Soros funded, I believe, the Attorney General in Philadelphia, and there was another one he funded in St. Louis. Now, I remember John McCain, the late John McCain, Republican senator from Arizona, tried to outlaw campaign finance reform. But if you look at the Democratic Party, they had the biggest donors. And something else that you might want to understand when it comes to President Trump and Joe Biden, you got to look at Georgia. Now, Georgia is pivotal right now because here's what can happen. If Joe Biden wins the presidency and the two senators lose to the Democratic wackos, one is a pastor, the other one, I don't know where he is, but he's lost. Then the Republicans lose the Senate. Then these left-wing lunatics, these communists, these socialists, they will go ahead and try to shove their left-wing policies into America. And there's a commercial out right now, and Chucky Schumer's on that commercial. We take Georgia and we change America. If you don't look at that commercial and get a feeling of sickness behind that information that these individuals want to take our rights, our freedom, and they want us to be submitting to the government, then something is wrong with us. Now, when it comes to generations for politics, I believe that some of the Gen Xers and most of your baby boomers are the worst. We have to get those individuals out of the way. Why? Because these individuals aren't really fighting for the system, or they're fighting for the system because they want to get something out of the system. Now, no brother Minister Jap talked about these old heads in his video yesterday. He didn't go far enough. See, I'm going to say this. When it comes to voting, I don't believe a number of women should vote because they're not voting for policies to help the country. They're voting for policies to help themselves right now. Now, if it sounds misogynistic, so mote it be. Let it be misogynistic. I want people who understand the Constitution, understand America, they understand how government works. They should be the ones voting. And to me, I believe you should have a test in America when you turn 18, 19, 20. Because, okay, when it comes to women voting, women don't have to deal with the draft like men do. If we don't deal with the draft at 18, we don't get financial aid for college. So when it comes to voting, a number of women are voting for socialist policies themselves. Now, when it comes to some of these older blacks, they're also voting for bad policies. And then the number of people, like I said, they don't understand politics at all, especially African Americans. We are the most political, illiterate race of people to be found on the face of the earth. Many of us don't have a clue. If you go out and ask an African American, why did you vote for Biden? They're going to tell you Trump was racist. Well, how do you know Trump was racist? Have you looked into Biden's background? Did you know that Biden was a womanizer? They never broadcast that because the media is helping Biden. They didn't talk about the Hunter Biden story. But I guarantee from the survey I saw in the battleground states, had they asked those two questions about Biden's background with women and Hunter Biden, they would have changed their vote. Now, again, some people might think this election is over. It is not over because all the election has to do is get to the House. And then once it gets to the House, the Republicans are going to win because they have most of the legislatures and they have most of the delegates. So just because the House is run by Democrats, it doesn't mean anything. And the new Congress is actually going to officially certify the election in January. You see, what happens when your vote is certified, then you get your electors, they go to the Capitol or the capitals of their states. From there on, they cast their vote for the president. Now, I don't really know what's going to happen this year because there has been some voter irregularities. Many of us know that. And I believe that a number of Democrats are finding that out as well because, believe it or not, the same thing that the Democrats are doing to the Republicans, they can turn around on them as well. Now, if the votes are certified and they don't find anything, okay, that's what it is. But right now, there should not be a recount on votes. It should be an audit. Make sure that all the signatures are correct. Again, many of us, when it comes to voting in politics, we don't have a clue of what's going on. Many of us don't even know the three branches of government. Now, of course, other countries like China, they're going to want Biden in there because Biden is a puppet. Donald Trump, believe it or not, you don't have to like his style. He's a fighter. I like his policies. If you look at the economy, Donald Trump had a good economy. Then COVID came. Now you have the Democrats saying that Donald Trump hasn't done well with COVID. There are at least 4 companies out there that may have a vaccine out by the end of the year. Now, I don't believe in taking the vaccine. I just believe in being healthy and wearing a mask. I don't believe in wearing a mask either because the mask is not going to prevent you from getting COVID. Now, a number of individuals who are getting COVID may have other symptoms. But what you're not being told by the media is that COVID has been weaponized against Trump to slow his process down. What did COVID do? COVID shut down the economy. Now, a number of people may have said COVID started in China. It could have. But what if COVID, and I'm just going against the devil's advocate here, what if COVID started here in America? I mean, you have a lot of slicksters here who don't like this president. And when it comes to process, you have the deep state. They may want to slow the process down. And when it comes to a lot of people here in America, most Americans are not that bright when it comes to voting anyway. Again, when it comes to the former vice president and this president, why did you vote for either? Now, I voted, my humble opinion, for the president because of his policies, not on style. I don't care how he came off. I looked at what's best for business, what's best for education. Even though some blacks might not understand this, he had $500 million for an economic package over 10 years, so that's $50 million. That's something. And when it comes to politics and Republicans, well, most blacks don't even vote for Republicans anyway. Why? Because, number one, if you're going to be in any political situation, this is what you need. You need to, first of all, have an agenda. Second of all, it's got to be organized. Thirdly, it's got to be financed. So if you ask most African Americans out here, what's your agenda? They're not going to tell you. But again, the people that are backing the Democrats who are African Americans, and the reason why I'm saying African Americans, because we are the only race that backs one party. And if you're an African American and you don't back that one party, you're labeled a coon. You're labeled someone who has betrayed your race. No, the people who have betrayed the race are the ones who keep going back on a plantation. They want massa to do the work. They want the white liberal to do the work. And the white liberals telling these old head blacks that white supremacy is the problem. No. A number of the problems that we have in the black community, we can solve ourselves. But we won't solve them ourselves because many of us are too lazy. Many of us walk around with a cell phone, a laptop. We won't look up any information. Now, I'm 55 years old. I always look up information. I wouldn't be doing any videos if I didn't look up any information. Now, information that's true, I keep. Information that's not true, I throw out. But when I compare and contrast Biden and Trump, let's look at taxes. Trump lowered the corporate tax rate. At one time, it was 35% to 21%. Now, Biden wants to raise the corporate tax rate. Now, Biden claims that individuals making $400,000 and up will be taxed. But what he's missing is there are not a lot of people making $400,000 or more. That may be a number, let's say 4 to 6% of Americans are making that kind of money. So what's going to happen is they may not raise taxes on the middle class with this progressive tax schedule, but they're going to raise the price of goods and services, which innately raises taxes on what we purchase here in America, and we may be poor after that. Some of us may not be able to afford gas. If you look at gas now, here in Indiana, I'm seeing some places at $1.89, $1.95. Yes, there's some places that are in the low twos. Well, if Biden gets rid of fracking, we're going to be paying a lot more for energy. Biden wants to go into the new Green Deal. Well, energy is not something you play with. Getting rid of fossil fuels is going to take a long time to do. And renewable energy, so far, it hasn't really helped. I mean, I hear about solar power. Unless you have some sun, solar power isn't always going to work. Well, when I look at Trump and I look at Biden is actually being pulled by the left. Because Biden, besides his rhetoric with the crime bill, which Republicans voted for as well, blacks voted for that crime bill as well, and of course Kamala Harris putting blacks in jail, that didn't help her out. And with black people, let me tell you all something. Too many of you look at symbols. Kamala Harris is not black. She comes from a father who was Jamaican and a mother who was Indian. She is married to a Caucasian man. She may look like you, but she is not black. Obama wasn't black. Obama was raised by his grandmother, I believe. Obama had a white mother and a black father. Now, many people liked Obama because he could speak well. And when I look at the Biden potential presidency and Donald Trump, I'm looking at the Obama administration all over again because Biden wants to put Obama people in his cabinet. Well, at the end of the day, we're going to go down the same type of racial tensions because, believe it or not, racial tensions were higher when Obama was in office. In fact, that's when Black Lives Matter started. Now, Trump, for the most part, I mean, I like his style. He's a fighter. I like that fight in him. Trump has been fighting the establishment since he's been in office. He has fought a fake impeachment scandal. He has fought fake Russia scandal. They want to go after him about his taxes. But they won't go after Joe Biden. Did Joe Biden produce his tax returns? We don't know. But you have corporate media. You have big tech. They're all doing the bidding for Joe Biden. But in the end, do you all really believe that 80 million people voted for Joe Biden? It doesn't make any sense when you had Donald Trump campaigning his ass off. I mean, he went after his battle with COVID. He was campaigning nonstop, answering questions, running the country. And you're going to tell me he's not a leader? Give me a break. You're going to tell me that although you disagree with Trump, you're not going to see your rise in income? You're going to tell me Biden is the next Messiah when he can barely speak? Biden wants a national mandate. In fact, if you look at these Democrats out here, they want to close small businesses, but they want people like businesses like Walmart, Kroger. It's funny, during the coronavirus, grocery stores were open. The big chains were open. When it came to restaurants, the fast food chains were open. So there was some economy during COVID. But I believe that people like Joe Biden, when they talk about the science, they want a mandate. They want us to be poor because many of us want to depend on government, particularly you have your baby boomers, some of your Gen Xers, and you have a number of millennials. They're going to college. They're majoring in subjects that aren't marketable. So where are these millennials staying? At home with mama and dad. When it comes to education, you have the Democrats talking about the 1619 Project. President Trump put out the 1776 Project. To me, if you're going to be a voter, you should know about the Constitution. You should know the three branches of government: judicial, legislative, and executive. You should also understand that during the elections, it's your legislative branch that runs everything. Your judges can't determine anything. A judge is supposed to interpret the law, not make law. That's what legislators do. And in Pennsylvania, when it comes to these votes, Trump does not need a recount because you're going to get the same number, or you may find 100 votes one way or the other. You have to request an audit. And I would say, too, Robert Trump, no more mail-in ballots. If you can't get to the polls, you don't vote. But in the end, you have to ask yourself, why did you vote for Biden? There's a number of you out there don't like Biden either. You just don't want to see Trump in there. So you're willing to basically throw your country away because you don't like somebody. I didn't care too much for Obama's policies. But I thought Obama was better than Mitt Romney. I thought Obama was better than John McCain. Because when I vote for somebody, whether it is locally, nationally, or statewide, I vote for policy. A number of individuals did not vote for policy, they voted for feelings. And I've always said feelings, basically, they override critical thinking. And a number of us don't have any critical thinking skills. A number of us don't think with common sense. Many of us voted for Biden, or many people voted for Biden, so they say. We really don't know how many people voted for Biden, but I just can't see 80 million people voting for somebody who didn't campaign, who didn't answer questions. And now, here's something funny too about Biden. He's announcing his female communications team. Well, Trump already had that. Vice President Pence already had that. See, the Democrats, the best they can do is play identity politics. And what the Democrats want is power. And you have a lot of Republicans out there. And I'm disgusted with you Republicans because many of you Republicans are cowards as well. And I believe a number of you Republicans are in it as well. Because if you were really that strong, you would have fought against what went on with the fake impeachment, what went on with the fake Russia dossier. You Republicans would be out there getting on the media as well. But many of you didn't do it because a lot of you politicians, Democrat and Republican, you've been in way too long. You got too comfortable. You have a number of generals out there who believe in a military industrial complex. They want wars because war makes money. Trump wasn't for these silly wars. Trump was for cleaning up the planet. He is for cleaning up the planet. Look at his energy. Less regulations. These are the issues that keep you free. But with the Democrats, they always want to keep you dependent on government. They love the power. And then you get big tech, you get big media, and even your religious institutions. They're not, particularly in the black community, they're not preaching anything about families. Why? Because the majority of the women who go to these churches are black women, so you have to cater to them. So in the end, I believe that voting for Biden is a vote against masculinity. When you don't have strong men who are in power, you don't have any innovation. And this country has been deteriorating when it comes to masculinity for the last 50 years. A number of these Republicans, a number of these Democratic men out here, they sound like women. They're about their feelings. Real men need courage. It's not about your feelings. You need to do what's right. If you don't agree with the process, you fight the process. But in the end, like I said, if you're black, you're a woman, and you voted for Biden, you voted to remain in a poor state. But you also hurt people like me and the rest of the individuals who want low taxes. We want entrepreneurship. We don't want to depend on government. We want First Amendment. We want Second Amendment. We want to be able to live our lives without wearing a mask every day. Because wearing a mask, creating hysteria, is just another way to control the public by using COVID, which for the most part, COVID, 99% of a chance of surviving if you are under 70, and 96% of chance 96% chance of surviving if you're 70 and older. So I'm going to ask you all this. Why did you vote for Biden? And why did you vote for Trump? Now, I tell you why I voted for Trump. I voted for his policies. His policies are capitalistic. His policies keep you free. And as a conservative, I'm not giving up. I'm going to fight. Because freedom is worth fighting for. Because anybody who voted for the left-wing policies, they will come after you too once they get everything they want. Because lefties will eat their own. So I'm going to ask you this question. Do you want freedom? Or do you want tyranny? The decision is yours. I want my freedom. And I'll do anything to fight for freedom. Because freedom is a fantastic quality of life. And I love America. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Been in a number of countries. America is the best place to live. And I'm up here cheering. Go USA. Because freedom is worth fighting for. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. You can also donate to my PayPal, my Venmo, and my Cash App. I want you all to like and share my videos. I'm not asking for a lot of donations, but try to donate to this channel, because on this channel, I give you information that you will continue to learn from. But I'm going to leave you with this. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Now, before I go, I want to tell you this. You can check out the Mind of STEM channel. Give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. You can check me out on Blog Talk Radio. Guest calling number is 215-383-5785. And of course, you can check me out right here on YouTube. Now, I won't be putting anything on Facebook, but I'm going to utilize Twitter, and utilize Rumble, MeWe, Parler, and LinkedIn. So, again, I thank you for listening to this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Please have a wonderful and gracious night. God bless you. I'm out.